Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and thanks for tuning in to another epic battle in Rome 2 Total War. This is a very close 2v2 siege, so I hope you guys enjoy, and without further ado, let's take a look at these army comps. The first army on the battlefield today is the Suebi, commanded by Son of Celebrimbor, and the defenders unfortunately forgot to deploy during the deployment phase, so a lot of their units are kind of clumped up in the town center, but that does make it pretty easy for me to do my army comps. So let's begin. The general here for Son of Celebrimbor is a Sword Master unit, and he also has 6 more Sword Master units over here, so that is most of his mainline infantry. He's also got a few spears as well. He has 4 units of Knight Hunters, light spear infantry. He's got 2 here, and then he does have 2 up on the cliff. And he's also brought 3 units of Woodenaz spears in the center as well. And for his ranged units, he's brought 4 units of Longbow Hunters, and he also has a Noble Rider unit. And way over here, I think he did deploy his Scorpion, the German Scorpion, at the walls. And I believe that is it for Son of Celebrimbor's army, so let's go ahead and take a look at his ally. Defending this fort alongside the Suebi, we have the Getae tribe, commanded by Alpha 6, and he does have some noble horsemen here at the gates ready to ride out at a moment's notice. But as I said, most of his units are in the town center or close to it because they did forget to deploy during the deployment phase. So it's going to make it interesting. If the attackers can get into the city quick enough, they might be able to get the upper hand very quickly. But he does have 5 units of the Falksmen here, which resemble the Thracian warriors. They kind of have the same hooked sword, and they've got some of the same stats too, with the melee attack and melee damage being really high, good charge bonus, but little armor and melee defense. So they're good shock units. Over here he does have 4 units of Dacian heavy bowmen, which are a pretty solid bow unit. He does have his General's Bodyguard over here, the Noble Sword unit, and he does have 4 more of the Noble Swords, so very, very solid heavy melee infantry. He's got some spears as well, 2 units of the Armored Spears, and then he's got 3 units of the Noble Spears, which, I mean, the stats between the two, yeah, a little bit more armor, a little bit more morale, and more melee attack and melee defense, so all around a good upgrade. But I believe that is all for Alpha 6's force, so let's go ahead and take a look at the attacking forces. The first attacking army on the battlefield today is Rome, and this one I believe is commanded by Umbra Knight. I'm not exactly sure because in Rome 2 it doesn't tell you over top of the army units which player is which, and they're both playing as Rome. So I think this is Umbra Knight's army, but we can take a look at who had what in the end results at the end of the battle. But I'm going to refer to this as Umbra Knight's army for now. He's gone very early Republic with a lot of his units, which is nice to see. I believe he has 5 units of Hastati, 3 are on the siege towers and 2 are held in reserve. And then he's got 6 units of Principes, 2 on the towers and 3 in reserve. He's got a Roman heavy onager, and he's got some auxiliary Syrian archers, which are the only archers that Rome can field. The only other ranged units they have would be like slingers and the velites as well. But here's the 2 other Hastati, here's the Principes, but he's also got 3 units of Triarii as well, holding up the final line, which is very interesting. He's almost got like the triplex axes here, or the triplex axes, where he's got the Hastati in front, then he's got the Principes in a staggered formation, and then he's got the Triarii, which are the most veteran units in reserve. He also has some cavalry as well, some Praetorian cavalry, and then we've got the General and Bodyguard right at the back, and there he is in his beautiful gold-looking vest. And that is it for his army, so let's go ahead and take a look at the final attacker. The final attacking army on the battlefield today, as I said, is also Rome, and this one is commanded by Raymond, and he's got a totally different build to the other attacking force, which is mostly Principe, Triarii, and Hastati. He's gone all out on the Roman infantry, but he does have a Roman onager here, Roman heavy onager, and on the towers he has 4 units of Triarii. He also has 2 units of auxiliary African war elephants, so that's how I'll know in the end results. If I see which one had the war elephants, then we'll know that this army is that person's. So we'll confirm that in the end. But whoever brought this army did not skimp on the infantry. He brought 6 units of the Praetorian Guard with their glorious purple capes. So this is going to be a huge problem for the Getae and Suebi defenders. Swordmasters should be able to do well against them, but there's 6 units of them. So this is a little bit cause for concern. He also has 3 units of the auxiliary Syrian archers brought to the battlefield. We've also got a couple units of Praetorian cavalry way back in reserve. And of course, we've also got a general and bodyguard. So that is it for the army comps, guys. So let's go ahead and take a look at the battle. Alright guys, welcome to the battlefield, and as you can see, we have the noble horsemen of the Getae tribe moving out to hopefully go after some key Roman targets, but the Getae horsemen already under fire from the Roman heavy onager. You saw the flaming shot coming forwards to hit the to hit the noble horsemen as they sallied out. And it'll be interesting to see how much work they can actually get done, because keep in mind that there are 3 units of Praetorian cavalry on the battlefield, there are elephants on the battlefield, and there's also 2 generals bodyguard on the battlefield. So the Romans definitely have enough cavalry units to repulse this attack, but it almost looks like they're not really too interested in dealing with it. That being said, I do see some Roman units coming forwards though. I'm not sure, but that might actually be the Roman general, because that is a very small cavalry unit. So he is just going right in with his general, and also in range of the arrow towers as well. So this is a very big risk here. Yes, there is the, wait, did I see the Roman general? I thought I had for a second. Just gotta look for that golden cuirass there. Yes, this most definitely is the general's bodyguard, which is a huge risk in itself, because the general's bodyguard, I believe, only has 30 or 40 men in the unit, whereas this noble horseman unit has 80. And yeah, there we go, they are pulling out. So I believe the general did survive that, because we didn't get a notification about that, but it'll be interesting to see what the noble horsemen do here. Just look at these glorious Getae horsemen on the battlefield. And oh, I'm spying some auxiliary Syrian archers that may actually be undefended. Doesn't look like the infantry is close enough to protect them. Yeah, huge hit into the auxiliary Syrians. And I'm seeing some horsemen in the back there, but they're just not really interested in helping out the auxiliary Syrians, which is very, very interesting. Let's go ahead and jump out of them just for a second here. I want to see if that was the general. Yes, it was. So he lost 10 men already. Over here, I did notice that we had some Roman auxiliary Syrian archers that were going to try to sneak up onto this very advantageous plateau and then fire down into the town center. But well done to son of Celebrimbor. He actually vanguard deployed his knight hunters and effectively saved a lot of men's lives by slaughtering these 2 units of Syrian archers. I thought it was interesting in the army compositions that Umbra Knight, I believe, had only brought 1 of the auxiliary Syrian archers, but here's his other 2 units, which have been annihilated by the Knight Spears. So well done there to the defenders, because this, keep in mind, guys, that this right here is their town center. So if the Syrian archers had set up on this plateau, that would have been pretty disastrous. But here we go. Looks like we do have some movement now. The units are starting to get into a position of a defensive position, I guess you would say. But I think they are a little scatterbrained due to the fact that they haven't they haven't deployed in the deployment phase. Fortunately, I'm seeing some Dacian heavy bowmen that are being cut down by the Hastati that have made it to the walls already. So yeah, the Romans really capitalizing on the fact that the defenders had not defended the walls. And you can see that they're just capturing all the towers in the settlement. But it looks like the defenders are more than happy to just hold up in positions, kind of the secondary positions. I would say that the first positions would be the walls, and then secondary positions would be choke points, and then the third position would be the town center. That being said, though, I'm seeing a lot of the falsemen actually pulling back to the town center, probably trying to keep the clumps to a minimum over here, especially with the 2 units of Roman heavy onager. They could stand to get a lot of kills on very elite units like these noble swords, which are already down to 110. So they've taken 10 casualties there. And yeah, might have been a little misclick here by the longbow hunters going in against the Hastadic. They are pretty weakened though, which is a good sign. How are those noble horsemen doing? They're at 12 out of 60, so maybe they will be going for the Roman heavy onager here. But I think they did a decent enough damage to the Roman defenders. The problem is, though, is that the Romans really didn't take too many casualties getting up onto the walls. So that is a bit of a concern. They're going to be able to capture all of these gates here and then pour their cavalry and infantry into the city. And yeah, the longbow hunters are pulling back, which is a good plan. We've got some sword masters over here and shield wall. These guys are pretty good. 43 melee attack and 40 melee damage. And very high health, armor, and morale as well. Yes, I think the Romans are just kind of getting their wits about them, and then they will be pushing forwards here first. However, this is also a formidable defense. We've got 3 units of swordmasters here. The only problem is that now that they've captured these towers, the defenders are actually in range of their own towers now. But let's go ahead and get into cinematic mode so we can see the charge of the Roman waves here. And look at this, we've actually got the cavalry coming in here. This is the general's bodyguard. What? Hold on. So the general's bodyguard has actually gone in first. So I'm not sure if the 2 Roman players may have been a bit newer to Rome too, but this I don't think I would do this. This is extremely risky this early into the siege to have your general and bodyguard in the front lines fighting sword masters. And yeah, the longbow hunters just pouring arrows down into the ranks. There is the Roman general here. Let's zoom in on him. He is literally right in the front lines right now. And is that him on fire? Oh no, it's the guy behind him, okay. Wow, credit where credit is due though. This Roman general is very brave. You can see the Precapes are pouring through the settlement. They're going to probably take on the sword masters that are closer to the town center on the left-hand side of the city. And we've also got some Hastati on the left-hand side slowly making their way in to reinforce this position. But they're going to have to be careful not to clump up their forces too much, because every unit that is engaged in melee right now will eventually become exhausted. And that is really not ideal. You kind of want to put in 2, maybe 3 units at a time. And then when those units start to get exhausted, you reinforce as necessary. But yeah, now the Roman general, he is kind of getting pushed back, which is good. The Praetorian cavalry are coming to the general's aid, putting themselves in the line of fire to protect the general. But yeah, getting the cavalry in here is probably not the best idea. I think that there are other juicier targets to go for. But here we go. On this side, we do have all 4 units of Triarii coming over here to fight one of the units of Knight Hunters. That's not going to be balanced at all. They are going to fire onto the Triarii, but it doesn't really matter because of their armor. 95 armor. They are just medieval tanks, or ancient tanks, I should say. This isn't really even the medieval period. And there we go, the Triarii engaging in the battle very early on. But again, all 4 units clumped into this very small position here. I'm not sure if that is a good idea. I might spread them out a little bit, or just send 2 units in, or even 1 to deal with the Knight Hunters would have been enough. To be honest, what would have been fantastic, not that I'm saying that I'm rooting for the attackers at all, but this was very lightly defended. I would have brought my elephants up here and just slammed into the Knight Hunters and the noble spears and just caused so much havoc behind enemy lines. Probably tried to even go over to this area and see if I could get some good rear charges on this Swordmaster Noble Sword combo, because it looks like the Dacians are moving some Noble Swords in. Well done to Alpha 6. He's actually using his Pila first before sending them into melee. And where is the general's bodyguard? Has he pulled out? Praetorian cavalry has broken at this point. They're not engaging over here just yet. We do actually have some noble riders coming out. I'm not sure what they're going to do, though, because this gate is owned by Rome, so they're not actually going to be able to flank around. I guess they could be going for strategic units like the Roman heavy onager here, which does still have some ammo left. And the general and bodyguard over here, I believe this is the Praetorian Guards general. So where is the other general? He must still be in the mix here. I don't see his unit card. But look at this, we've actually got some of the Principes or Principes sneaking around the Swordmaster lines, so Alpha 6 needs to get his noble swords over here to stop this, because now these Swordmasters are losing decisively because of the fact that they are outflanked. So I would get those Dacian swords over there to cut that unit of Principes down. Yeah, I have no idea where the other general's bodyguard went, though. And what's going on over here? Oh, no! Yes, unfortunately, the Roman attackers probably not noticing this, but the longbow hunters are just wrecking the Hastati here. The Principes are probably turning around. Hopefully, they will get out of range of those longbow hunters. But same with the Triarii here. I mean, I said that they are ancient tanks, but they can only soak up so much. Well done to, I believe this is Umbra, putting his Principes into attacking Testudo, so that does give them extra bonuses for defense. But look at this formidable defense up here at the town center. Only the bravest men would be going up towards that, seeing all the wooden spears and the sword masters. Alright, I don't want to miss too much more of the battle over here. I think this is where the main parts of the battle are kicking off. There we go. Looks like the Swordmasters have kind of done the same thing, flanking around the Principes, and the Noble Swords have stopped that Principe unit from getting around the Swordmasters. But yeah, I'm very interested to see where the Roman general went. Oh, yes! Well done to Son of Celebrimbor over here, although he's probably not going to be able to kill the enemy general due to the fact that we have the 2 units of Praetorian cavalry here. It was a valiant effort, though. 11 out of 30 men, and the general's bodyguard is actually shaken. I don't know how he's losing decisively. He must have been in the forefront here. Hopefully the Praetorian cavalry can break this unit in time. Is that the general back? No, it's not. But yes, it was a valiant effort, but unfortunately they just didn't have enough numbers. And they have been shattered and are leaving the battlefield. So that leaves one general's bodyguard who is in a pretty weak state, and the other one is nowhere to be found, so he must have broken. But oh, a huge rout here from the Romans, the attackers. Hastati and Principes. We've got more Principes that have been shattered and are leaving the battlefield. And we basically just got one unit of Triarii. Of course, the Triarii holding strong until the end. So yeah, we need to get these Praetorians in here now. Over here, we've got, yeah, a lot of units. I'm not sure if he meant over here to push his auxiliary Syrian archers into melee. Yeah, must have been a misclick there. Or he was targeting a unit back here that's moving back to the town center. In fact, it was probably the general's bodyguard itself. But let's take a look at the Triarii, who are engaging in melee here against the Suebi. Ooh, and I can hear the Roman heavy onager coming down as well onto this position. He's going to have to be careful not to get too much friendly fire, though. It's like a big game of tug-of-war. You can see the Triarii pushing the Suebians back, and then they will rally and then push the Triarii back. And it looks like we've got some Dacians just charging right to the front lines there. I'm seeing some Romans starting to fall from that charge bonus from the Dacian. Noble swords, I believe, pushed in here. Yeah, we got noble swords and noble spears. And the Night Hunters finally starting to waver, but they have steadied. So they've actually done really well holding against the Triarii here. Auxiliary Syrian archers, not much for them to fire at just yet. But, I mean, the balance of power still shows the attackers have the upper hand. And I'm seeing in the distance over here that the Praetorian Guard have been activated. But that's pretty much it for them, to be honest. The General and Bodyguard is way back here. He's kind of almost left the battlefield. He wants to make sure that he stays alive so that his men don't rout. But yeah, over here, I'm thinking that the General for Umbra Knight, I believe, he must have been routed and just not killed. I mean, does it say here in the morale? I don't think it will, because I can't really select on them. Sometimes in Attila, it'll tell you. But anyways, we've got the Principes over here who have made it to the town center, which is really good. But look at this formidable defense. We've got a Widna's Spear, Night Hunters, and then looks like 3 Swordmasters. And well done to Celebrimbor. If there is no other units over here from the attackers that are coming up to defend, push forwards on the flanks exactly like he has done. Put the pressure on the Principes from 3 sides. And it's about to be completely surrounded because I'm seeing a unit of noble swords coming over here as well. Coming to flank around the poor Roman Principes. And I'm seeing some Roman Principes fleeing the battlefield. Oh no, is this another chain rout because of the fire arrows from the longbow hunters? Yes, all 3 units have been shattered. That is really tough to see if you are rooting for the Roman attackers. Even the Triarii routing, so yeah, their general must have left the battlefield. And then especially from the longbow hunters there too. But there we go. Oh, so the Roman elephants have been activated over here and they are just knocking back the Dacians. Now, these aren't the Indian armored war elephants, so they're not as good. They're not as tanky, but, I mean, they're still pretty solid. They can get some crazy charge bonuses. One is 26 kills, and one is 30 kills, so not too crazy just yet. But these elephants have the ability to change the tide of battle. So these swordmasters that are coming over here are probably going to die at the hands of the elephants. That's kind of a waste. I would maybe just keep them over here. They still have uses if you can support them with the fully healed unit, or it's not really fully healed. This isn't Pokemon, but what am I trying to say? Like a unit that hasn't seen combat yet, basically. Like 120 out of 120. Like if you have a unit like that to support these 2 units, then they still can get a few kills, so it almost seems like Celebrimbor is just throwing them to their death, especially since this tower is just wrecking them. I think they are trying to capture this tower, though. That will enable this tower to fire at the auxiliary African elephants, which is a pretty solid idea, but here come the elephants. It's just not going to work. Yep, there we go. Huge charge by the elephants, not even slowing down. Yeah, just shattered them. So good awareness there by the Roman attackers, and here we go. The glorious march of the Purple Boys. Just take a look at these guys. Absolutely epic. So they have been called in to see victory for the Romans. The Romans have had a pretty bad start here so far. So they really need to make up a lot of ground. You can see that the Dacian and Suebi defenders still have a lot of units. Looks like we've got couple units of sword masters over here that are pretty fresh. We've also got some wooden spears. A lot of the falsemen are still alive and well. And, of course, the 2 generals are still in the battle. Or still on the battlefield, that is. But these Triarii, brave Triarii, holding strong. And this is what's to be expected of Triarii, because this player's general is still alive. So they will hold probably until they have like 10 or 8 men left. That is provided that the longbow hunters don't shower them with fire arrows. Ooh, and where is the Roman heavy onager firing on? This clump here in the center. Yeah, getting some decent kills there. Really harassing the Dacians in the center. Got some sword masters that are moving over to this flank. Although I don't think it's necessary. They've already got 5 units over here. I think that's more than enough. And the auxiliary Syrian archers here are firing fire arrows as well, trying to break the defenders. But I think that's going to work against them because the Triarii are now starting to waver. Oh, yeah, see a lot of friendly fire there. A lot of friendly fire. Take a look at these 2 guys. Got like 3 arrows in their back and they're still fighting. How are we looking over here? Thought I saw some Romans moving over in this area. Oh no! And there we go. We got some Praetorian cavalry getting into the Dacian heavy bowmen here. We do have some spears close by though, so I doubt they'll be able to move forwards in this area with the Praetorian cavalry. I mean, maybe if you get a good charge on the Night Hunters, it's possible, but yeah, we've also got 3 units of Praetorian Guard coming over here. Or are these just Praetorians? Oh yeah, we got 3 units of Praetorians and then 3 units of Praetorian Guard. Oh, I didn't notice that. I mean, not that it matters. The Praetorians are still extremely solid heavy melee infantry. Yeah, the Night Hunters just stopped charging. They're like, are we sure? Are you sure you want us to charge into melee against the Praetorians? Oh my goodness, they're just getting mowed down. Oh yeah, I'm seeing a lot of them getting slaughtered. Thankfully, we have some of these sword masters close at hand, and they are pushing this very large dead elephant right into the Praetorians' path. And actually, some of them are disappearing. I don't know if you can see that. It's a very common battlefield tactic in Rome too. It's almost because this elephant has like an area of effect here, even after it's dead. And what do we got? We've got the Praetorian Guard coming up on this flank here. So the Triarii probably are almost to their breaking point. Yeah, they're shaken, exhausted. 30 men and 50 still left. Noble swords at 77. And as the Triarii start to waver here, you can see a lot more of the noble swords are actually opening up options for the auxiliary Syrian archers to fire into. But well done here, not moving his Praetorian Guard in just yet. This is what I was talking about, allowing the Triarii to kind of expend themselves first before moving extra troops in. And also, that Pila throw was just devastating. Let's get a zoom in for that as well. There we go. Yes! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness. Just slaughtering those noble swords there. And I think that is the sound of the Praetorian Guard. They are going into melee. One last volley of the Pila, and then charging right in. Very, very epic. But I think that is it for the attacking forces. Like, they've got all of their units engaged in melee now, aside from the elephants. Praetorian cavalry is pulling back just a bit here. Hilariously, the noble swords are actually using the siege tower to come up behind the cavalry. That is a very smart tactic. I did not even know that you could use those. I guess it makes sense because it's not really owned by the Romans anymore once they get off of it, but that is so funny. So they've actually flanked almost right around the Praetorians fighting over here. I wish this cavalry wasn't here, because then they could have just got a nice rear charge into the Praetorians. However, the Praetorians can fight back-to-back for quite a long time. It's not really going to affect their morale that much. I mean, their base morale is still 71, which is pretty significant. And it looks like the Praetorian cavalry is backing off. I would get these auxiliary war elephants into these night hunters right away, and that is exactly what they're doing. Nice charges. My goodness. Oh, but the volley from those elephants there. Do they own this tower now? Yes, they did actually capture this tower, and they also have longbow hunters over here. That has sent the auxiliary African elephants berserk. So that is a bit concerning. Both units actually gone berserk. And yeah, the Praetorian cavalry is just getting out of there. They do not want to see the aftermath of the elephants just slamming into their ranks. Yeah, they're like, we're out of here, see ya. Looks like they're headed right for them too, even though they're berserk. There we go, they've steadied themselves now. And this is just going to be an utter slog. There's 19 minutes left in this battle. Yeah, the noble spears are just a little bit outclassed by the Praetorian Guard. There are a lot of Dacia noble swords over here, though. How many units does he have? Or are they the spears? Yeah, he's got armored spears and noble spears. And of course, we've got the sword masters in here as well, but looks like they are getting cut down by the Praetorian Guard. The elephants have gone berserk again, and that has actually allowed these noble swords to get in behind enemy lines and go after the Praetorians. There we go, a little volley there. And I'm seeing a 1v1 duel there from the Praetorians. Who's gonna win? Oh! The Suebian swordmaster cutting down a Praetorian. I would take that purple cape for myself, to be honest. So yes, the Praetorians are fighting back-to-back at this point, but as I said, it probably won't affect their morale that much if we take a look at it here. Praetorians, yeah, base morale still 71. Looks like one of the units has been turned around as well, so I don't think either of the other units are outflanked. But I mean, they're starting to take some decent damage here. You can see one of the Praetorian units down to 48 men. But the balance of power is still just barely with the Romans here. How much do the defenders have left? I mean, they've pretty much committed most of their forces over here. We've got a few units of falsemen over here and some armored spears and noble swords. But Celebrimbor is sending in his general, the swordmaster unit. So yeah, he's pretty much out of available manpower at this point. And the Praetorian Guard already up to 61 kills with 2 casualties, 137 with 23 casualties, 94 with 15 casualties. So yeah, the Praetorian Guard is definitely doing a good job over here. These elephants, though, they need to get some better hits. Here we go, some falsemen. This should be a nice charge. Nice. Oh, the only problem is that the defenders have captured the towers now, so these elephants are just going berserk every time they get close. But yeah, got a good number of kills there against those falsemen. Here comes the other unit in. That should break them, I would think. How much are they up to? 125, and where's the other one? 106. Another unit of falsemen coming in. Not sure if I would charge those elephants, though, especially because they're berserk. Yeah, not the best idea. Yeah, look at the numbers drop there. Yeah, don't fight elephants. This is a really good tactic here, using longbow hunters with fire arrows, or even velites as well, or javelins. They do really well, like Royal Peltas I find are really good at taking down elephants. But they're down to 5. Pretty much 2 units of falsemen sacrificed, though, to the war elephants, unfortunately. And looks like the noble swords, yeah, they're starting to waver, the ones that flanked around. We do have some more falsemen over here that are hopefully going to be able to break these Praetorians. But they still have the Praetorian Guard over here to contend with. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 units left in reserve, and that is it. Oh, and the elephants coming in as well, finally silencing those infernal longbow hunters. And then, yeah, if they could get a good charge into the backs over here, this is going to be disastrous for the defenders. Oh, no. Save the Praetorians. Elephants going in. Oh, a little charge into the Praetorians, though. Are they berserk right now? Where are they? Yeah, they are out of control, so this is actually backfiring against the Romans. The Praetorians are getting the full brunt of the allied elephants. Yeah, I think that is most of them down. There's one more here. It's just fighting its heart out. 213 kills. But, oh, look at this chain route here. Oh, no. Oh no, this is not good for the defenders. Luckily, the Dacians, or sorry, the Getae, they still have a few units left over that they can come over here and stem the tide. Because the Praetorians are here. We've got the Praetorian cavalry that has returned. I thought that, I guess his other elephant unit was completely wiped out. Yeah, there we go. So longbow hunters up here. Excellent use of the longbow hunters going after that one last elephant, because that still could have done a lot of damage to the falsemen here. Yeah, 2 units of falsemen and the noble swords, and that is pretty much it for the defenders. Ooh, good charge on the cavalry. I would have tried to get them around a little bit, though. Maybe charge into the side, let the Praetorians soak up a lot of that damage. How many do we have over here? 9 swordmasters that are still fighting. And we've got this unit of Praetorians that needs to get out of here. Remember, the defenders now own this tower. So it's just going to be firing into the Praetorians as they come into range of it. Let's take a look over here and see how things are going. Yeah, Celebrimbor's general is kind of surrounded, which is concerning. I don't know exactly which one the general is. Maybe the one with kind of the flared helmet. No, there's a few of them like that. I do see the standard bearer. So the standard still holds strong for the Suebi. And there is the backing of the Getae. I think I may have been calling them Dacians for a little bit of time, but they do just have the Dacian bowmen. The tribe is actually the Getae tribe. And how are we looking over here? They should be able to beat the Praetorians here, no problem. Down to 43 men. They're fighting the falsemen and the general's bodyguard here, the noble sword unit. It says combat's even, so that's kind of embarrassing. And there we go. Looks like Alpha 6 is trying to get one of his units to flank around the Praetorians, hoping to shatter the morale. And again, the Roman heavy onager coming in here, but I'm seeing some friendly fire there. Yeah, look at the Praetorians that are burning from that. But now the Swordmaster's general is starting to waver. Ooh, he did steady though, which is good. And this unit of Triarii, which has been fighting for so long, finally starting to waver. There goes the Suebian general, though. Does he have any units left on the battlefield? He just has one unit of Swordmasters. And that is it. And actually, we've got the Noble Swords coming over to try and flank around the Praetorian Guard, because this is still an extremely close battle. But if it is going to be won by the Romans, it's going to be won by the Praetorian Guard, because this is their last hope to break the defenders here. These men are probably exhausted. Ooh, and are the Noble Spears pushing forwards, or are they breaking? Oh, no! Oh, okay, I thought the Praetorian Guard was breaking, but he's just peeled one of the units off to stop the general from flanking around, which is very, very smart. Noble Sword's very tired. Praetorian Guard is only active. Ooh, that could be interesting. 94 to 67. So the general could very well be killed here. And, oh, the Romans actually won on this flank, so we actually have some Praetorians, be it all 15 men, only 15 men, but they could get around the flank here and shatter the defenders. They've only got 5 more units left. This is everything that they have. And we've also got some of the Syrian archers that could come back into the settlement. I would bring the Roman general in here as well. He could be very instrumental in getting a huge rear charge on the back of this Noble Sword unit. 62 to 78, so the Noble Swords are not doing well against the Praetorian Guard. Oh, is this unit gonna break? Yeah, the towers. So the Getae towers just saving the backs of the defenders here. I want to see over here what's going on with the general. I would love to see which one is the general. Like, is it that one with the very pointed helmet? I don't see any others with that helmet. Usually they're kind of set apart from the rest. So yeah, that is the Getae general there, fighting right in melee against the Praetorians. If he gets cut down, though, all is lost for the defenders. Oh, and I don't like how hard he's pushing. He's going to get cut. Oh, is that the general dead? I feel like that is the general dead. Yeah, general recently died. Oh no. Ooh, this is going to be very close. We do have some Noble Swords that are kind of flanking around. But if this Noble Sword unit breaks, then the Praetorians will be able to reinforce that flank. How are the Praetorians doing over here? 48 men there, 22 men there, and the Triarii with 18 men remaining. They're actually not even in combat right now. They're resting up. And we also have the auxiliary Syrian archers over here capturing the gates. I would bring them over this way. I wouldn't bother going for the towers, because this tower is going to start firing and break this unit. I don't know if he's trying to go and cap the town center or not. But it looks like the general is close. I would just bring him in to shatter this unit of Getae. Shatter the Noble Swords. Down to 23 men. They're starting to waver. Praetorians down to 40 men, so they slaughtered an entire Getae general unit and only lost, what was it, 25 men, maybe? But over here, we've got some Praetorian guards starting to waver. This is not good for the attackers. Just look at the bodies that are littered on the ground here. Oh my goodness. And is that all the Romans that have just broken? Ooh, yes, the Praetorian Guard have broken. We've got one unit of very tired Praetorian Guard over here holding. But now it's starting to slip into the defenders. Into the defenders' hands. The Triarii are starting to waver. The auxiliary Syrian archers not in melee. Looks like a couple of them may be trying to fire. General dead, casualty sustained. This general is so pivotal. If this player had got the general in, brought him quickly around, and then rear charged these units, it may have been game over. But I think that he was just too passive. And therefore he's allowed the defenders to kind of rally around their few units left. And this Praetorian Guard unit is not going to be able to beat them all on its own. You can hear, I think that's the Romans. This is the end, man. It's like, yes, it is. You fought valiantly, Praetorian Guard, but it just wasn't enough. Oh, some big hits there. That may work against him, though. That might shatter the Praetorians. Yep. That's exactly what happened. So it looks like the defenders are going to take this one. Yeah, balance of power into the way in the defenders' position now. They've got 3 units plus Celebrimbor has 1 unit, and we do have the Onager firing down on them. I mean, if he gets a few lucky shots, there is still hope. But this Swordmaster unit is just headed over to get rid of the auxiliary Syrian archers. But look at the victorious Dacians, or sorry, the victorious Getans. Oh man, they must be exhausted. Oh, we've actually got a Praetorian. Oh my goodness. And then he just sinks below. I guess that saves burial. That's good. Yeah, capping one of the centers now. I think it's pretty much over. I think they're just going to clean up over here. Let's go ahead and just hit the fast forward. I would cut this out, but I'm very interested to see what the Roman Heavy Onager does when they come out of the city. Because they still, surprisingly, they still could win this with the Heavy Onager. As their general is dead, I mean, it just takes one good hit to take out the forces of Getae. Here they come. Let's see what's going on. Ooh, they're not very clumped up, though. I don't know if Alpha 6 meant to do that. Oh, they missed. Ooh, they need to hit this unit over here. Let the general deal with that unit. It's pretty weak as it is. Oh, and that's exactly what's happening. Nice charge. Ooh, yeah, a couple of them being slaughtered, though. Come on, good hits, good hits. Oh, you're kidding me. Just horrendous luck there. Yeah, the general's actually just wrecked by that. Noble spears. Didn't work out for them. Come on, one more volley. Get a good volley. Come on. No. Oh, and they're going to break. That's it. That is it. So only a handful of men. What do we have? 24. I didn't even see, but probably 60, 30, and then the sword masters. Let's take a look at the end results here. Okay, so I was saying that Raymond had the elephants, so I was incorrect. So Umbra Knight was the left army with the Praetorians and the Praetorian Guard. So Raymond was the one with the Principes, Hastati, and Triarii. So taking a look at Alpha 6's forces, not a lot of kills on his Dacian bowmen. They kind of got cut down early when the Romans ascended the walls. Noble horsemen, 100 kills though, that's pretty good. I think most of his kills came down to his spears and his noble swords though. Looking at Celebrimbor, he did well with his Knight Hunters, his Wooden Spears. The Swordmasters, though, really doing a lot of heavy lifting, most over 100 kills. And the Longbow Hunters did well, too. Very good. Yeah, that Scorpion did nothing, though. Looking at Umbra Knight, he did solid with his Roman Heavy Onager. The African Elephants also did well. Praetorian Cavalry, pretty good. And, yeah, the Praetorian Guard definitely did a lot of heavy lifting, but surprisingly, the Praetorians getting more kills, 324 by this one unit, and the Triarii also doing well. Looking at this heavy onager, 60 kills with them. The cavalry didn't do as well, neither did the auxiliary Syrians. If you guys remember, these were the two that were trying to get into that vantage point, but were cut down by the Night Hunters. Hastati, pretty low kills. The Principes, low kills as well. And the Triarii, low kills. Not many kills by this army, unfortunately, but I think he did take the brunt of the attack. And then Umbra Knight kind of came in a little later with his more elite infantry. But really solid battle. Very, very close. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And as always, I will see you in the next one.